She finds her passion in creating spaces that help people define their lives. An architect and a designer, she graduated from the Indian Institute of Technology almost 35 years ago, and ever since has been instrumental in designing an array of projects. She has to her credit some prestigious projects like Dr Ambedkar Memorial in Delhi, Rail Coach Factory in Raebareli, Marina Mall in Abu Dhabi, Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University, Lucknow. Her close involvement in real estate sector in the urban landscape has led her to experience how the interplay of various nuances of aesthetics, convenience, utility and practical needs can have a dominant impact on the lives of people. After the massive shock on the economy due to the pandemic, the real estate sector and the labor involved have faced some severe consequences. Forced migration of panic-stricken people, major loss of livelihoods, and loss of many hapless lives, and many such complex issues have compelled us to explore and probably take more serious action around how city spaces are redesigned, how employment opportunities can be generated locally. Can people living in dense urban spaces be even expected to observe social distancing? While there are no easy answers to such complex problems, but it's about time we explore some of these questions at hand. I have with me Alka Singh today, who is extremely passionate about designs and thoroughly enjoys creations, and she will share her views on some of the pertinent issues that confront us today on Her Stories.
The real estate sector in India is contributing 6% to the GDP, and it's one of those sectors that employs maximum number of people after agriculture. Due to the COVID-19 instigated crisis, the things at this sector have come to a standstill. The labor class that has been working at the construction sites have fled overnight to their native places due to various reasons, and that is something that we are all trying to grapple with. But this kind of change has not only hit the economy in a hard way, but it also propels us to think about what are some of the changes that could be made in the urban landscape or in the designs of our housing, and what are the opportunities for people to be engaged again into this sector. There are many of such questions that prevail on our mind, and I have with me an expert, an architect and a designer, Mrs. Alka Singh, with me today on Her Stories to discuss some of these very pertinent issues that affect most of us and are going to affect the livelihoods of people. What are her perspectives on this? She's been an architect and a designer and has been instrumental in designing a number of large-scale and small-scale projects and working on design of full-fledged institutions. And I'm very pleased to have her on here, Her Stories. Hi, Alka. Welcome to Her Stories.
Thank you, Richa.
Alka, I believe you have recently resumed office. I mean, you have actually started going back to your office after 2 months of work from home. And how has that experience been, and how different does it feel?
Oh, it feels great because we are so used to working in office and having a personal relationship with our staff members that work from home was okay, but not to my liking. So I'm really going back to office and working in office. It's great. It's feeling very nice.
Wonderful. Wonderful. My first question to you is that as an architect, as a designer, do you think there is a change in the thought process of designers now as to what housing societies or what commercial spaces or offices are going to look like? How changes in the design will have to be made so that we are more prepared to deal with situations like these? Like, work from home was never such a strong given norm till now, but now it is like that we think it's going to be here forever. So how do you think the design and the layout of plans is going to happen?
Yes, I think it is too early to comment on the design processes, but definitely there is going to be a change in the design and the way we think of a residence. The entrance lobby, for example, will have to be elaborately designed to accommodate a shower space or a sanitization space where things can be sanitized before coming in, and even people. So for that matter, even other spaces, other buildings, housing societies, everywhere, we will have to take that into consideration. And if you recollect, during our grandparents' time in rural India, even now, uh, people generally remove their footwear outside their homes. They enter the courtyard and they wash their hands and feet before coming in. That has always been our tradition, and probably we'll have to go back to that tradition. And we are assuming that requirements for shops and offices in future will reduce considerably, because work from home and e-commerce is going to be the new norm. So, okay, we will design buildings, we will have some changes, some isolation rooms, some rooms have to be bigger for physical distancing, some places assigned in a residence for work from home areas, or a small office space for everyone. So all these things will have to be taken into consideration while designing residences, societies, buildings, offices, shops, everywhere. So that's true. We'll have to change our way of thinking.
And Alka, like what we have seen, some very heart-wrenching incidences of labor class and people who are working as frontline workers fleeing from the cities and not finding this habitable enough at such a time. And they have not only just moved out of here, but it is also that their livelihoods are like at stake. And when will this reverse migration happen? What will be the process like? How will they be absorbed? What do you think are going to be some of the immediate and long-term implications on their livelihood opportunities?
Yes, I don't see a long-term impact on real estate as such. People will continue to buy and sell properties. It's the present crisis that is creating a question in our minds. See, labor can always be engaged in other infrastructure activities, projects that the government can take up during this crisis. And we are a developing nation. So construction work will always resume sooner or later. It has to be there. And the labor can again get back to work. So on construction sites, they will again be needed. And luckily, the sites don't have a physical distancing problem because they are in open, and there are you can maintain distance, you can have a chain, a human chain, and the contractor can always take care of the precautions that we are suggesting at the moment. So it will get back, Richa. It is just a matter of time, I think.
That sounds promising. And as you mentioned, the opportunities will be there, but they may be in a different spaces. And especially if those precautions can be taken at a construction site, I think that looks very wonderful for now. But if we talk of the cities as of now, we have seen that people have come from very remote areas to work in some concentrated parts of the country where most of the opportunities lie. And now suddenly people have to go away. And how do you think that opportunities of employment could be distributed in a fashion? Or cities like currently the urban landscape is so anyway super saturated. We are going on absorbing, and then there is such a crisis of space. Many things emerge out of this. So my first question is that how can we have a more evenly distributed opportunity of employment across the states and within the country? What are your thoughts on that?
See, at macro level, it would be good to have self-sufficient communities, which could be cordoned off or quarantined if need be. Idea is that everyone could be employed locally with sufficient resources to cater for their basic needs. And so that they don't have to, they are not forced to migrate. I mean, if they want to go, it's okay. I mean, there's no pressure. But they should not be forced to migrate. See, past policies have never taken into account the possibility of social distancing and personal hygiene in urban slums. So haphazard growth of cities in India has always been a serious concern. Probably this pandemic has given an opportunity to correct those past blunders. So it is a blessing in disguise so that we are able to create a healthy and hygienic environment for the people, and we create a good environment for their work ethics, and we have a good road network, so they are connected, but they are self-sufficient in their own areas, and they have enough work to keep them there if they want to. So that way, even if the urban cities, if we are talking about slums where the density is so high that in 10 feet by 10 feet area, there are 12 to 13 people living in that area, and we are talking about 6 feet distance between two people. So that is next to impossible. I mean, we are talking about something which is not possible right now for a city like Mumbai. So we have to design housing for them, low cost housing. We have to educate them, counsel them, and induce, kind of enforce them to start living in those houses. Because there are cases, you must have heard, that people are given houses, they go there, they stay for some time, they put it out on rent and come back and start living in the slums again. So just to avoid that, I feel, they have to be educated, on personal hygiene, on social distancing, on the benefits of living a good, healthy life. And once they start living in a neat and clean environment, it will develop into a habit. And they will start enjoying it, and they will live there. The only thing is it takes time, and
Yeah, I gathered that what you're saying is that rather than letting this haphazard growth happen, it should be more, it should be done in a way where we can have quality life for everyone, even if it is done in a manner which is gradual and slow. And your point about having self-sufficient communities which can be quarantined and people can be given opportunities of livelihood and work in those communities, in those self-sufficient units. If you could elaborate a little on that, because what I do see is that across the country, we have few cities like, obviously the metropolitan cities and the ones which are maybe called two-tier but are growing because of some industrial development. What about these smaller pockets that can be, maybe suburban in nature but have all the amenities and employment opportunities? If you could talk a little about that.
Yeah, because see, our cottage industries, we have so much of skill, as far as cottage industry is concerned. So if we can develop those in these small areas, have small schools, health centers. See, this is the basic requirement. Basic requirement for a society to have a self-sufficient growth is basically agriculture is already there. We are an agricultural country. So that is already there. Then in addition to that, if we have good health centers, we have some good primary and secondary education facilities, some schools there. And we have some cottage industries and some skill development developed there, and small industries can come up there. So all these things in small hubs, they can grow on their own and they have employment. Of course, if they want to go to a city, they are welcome to go. But if they don't want to go, they have work in their own place. So that is the idea, basically.
Right. And as you mentioned, it could be like a road network that connects us well with each other, and then that accessibility to bigger cities is always there. Yeah,
true.
Right. Yeah. And Alka, that was a lot of thought and a lot of ideas that we can take from here, cull out from these conversations for the long-term policy design. What is the way forward? Having more self-sufficient units which are, allowing people to stay and work where they are with their families and not necessarily migrating because of economic needs, and have a better design of the urban landscape. And don't let these slums thrive, because this is not going to offer any kind of quality living in the long run. Yeah.
Exactly.
Any additional thoughts you would like to conclude or wrap up this discussion with?
No, see, when we see the Western countries, the developed nations, so the kind of dignity of labor that we have there, we miss it in our country. So basically, we are so much dependent in urban cities on these workforce. Probably it gives us also an idea that we have to become independent. See, if we are making them self-sufficient in their own areas, then definitely we are expecting a lesser population of the migrants coming in the city. So there would be a dearth of workforce. Like suppose you have 4 maid servants coming part-time in your house, you might not get so easily. So you will become independent and you can work in the house, because the whole world is actually working. In America and Europe, everyone is working at home. It's only in India that we have the luxury of workforce. So we will also get used to it, and they will also get used to it, and we will definitely have dignity of labor that way. And that is important, and that we should have. So they let them also have their own work, and we also have our own work. They can work for us, they can work independently. It should be a choice. It should not be by force. No, that is the idea.
Very good, great thoughts, Alka. And I'm really, there are so many other ideas and debates that are sparked off in my head when you talked about the design of the new houses, residential or commercial spaces, the way the entire urban landscape can change, how we can have people work and live and find dignity in what they are doing. I think some of these ideas are really great, and we need to look into it so that going forward, we are prepared and are more accepting of any such changes that happen, which are beyond our control. And thank you for having spent time. And I hope you have a rocking week ahead and a lot of interesting work that comes your way. Thank you for your time, Alka.
Thank you.